Boston Sports Brew is back on tap. The Sox head into the All-Star break 5 games under 500. Still, it seems most people think they'll be buyers at the trade deadline. Danny Ainge and the Celtics are making moves, but are they the right ones? Take a look ahead to next year's free agent class on this edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Good to be back, Mattious.
We're alive, everybody. We're back.
We're back. It's been a while. It's been a little hiatus.
Hey, Droz, sometimes in life, I mean, this is a hobby for us. We wish it would be a livelihood one day, but you gotta let life take its course over your little hobby thing that we have going here. So
priorities.
Exactly. Priorities in life.
But we're back now, and we'll be back for good for a while. So thank you once again for tuning in to another edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Started off, it's the end of the first half of the, unofficial end of the first half of the Major League Baseball season. Boston Red Sox go into the break with a 42-47 record. That being said, many people believe that they are still going to be buyers at this upcoming trade deadline. That being because they're only 6.5 games behind the Yankees for first place in the AL East. That's how bad the AL East is. And so at this point, that's what they're saying. They're saying the Red Sox obviously need a pitcher. Mattious, what do you think?
All right. I mean, I'm glad you said like that about the All-Star break because it's not really the official halfway point of the season. They're 89 games in. All right. So that means there is 73 games, right? I mean 73 games left. I think I'm right with that. I don't teach math, but I mean 73 games left. In order for them to get to say like 85 wins, and they're at 42 right now, they're gonna have to win 43 games, and that's about 30 losses. So 43 and 30. That's a pretty hefty record to go just to win 85 games. And I know sometimes people don't like to look at it from that perspective, but that's exactly how I look at it, and that's a win percentage that's really high. And I disagree if people are really saying they're buyers because they are the third worst team in the AL East, and they got a slew of teams to jump. Even if they get hot, other teams are going to get hot. I personally feel like at the beginning of the year, I picked them to be in one of those last 2 wild card spots. I know you said they were going to come in dead last, and you're right on target right now, and I don't think I have a chance, maybe like maybe less than 5% chance. So if I were the Red Sox, I'd start selling away, and I'd be selling away with my buddy Clay Buchholz. And I don't care. I know I said release him. He's actually had a decent year, but I don't care. This happens every year, Droz. Here we go. 6th time in the last 6 years that this bum is going to be on the disabled list before the All-Star break. This just happens every year. He's not durable. Okay.
Well, he's not.
I hear people speaking on the radio and if you sign Clay Buchholz, he's got team options the next 2 years, and they were like anywhere from like 12 to 14 million. Well, this is good enough for a 12 to 14 million dollar player. And whoever said it on the radio yesterday, I wanted to jump through the radio and strangle the person because that's just asinine. If you think somebody's good for only half a season for 12 or 14 million, you got some rocks in your head. And I still believe that they should get rid of this guy. I really do. So to answer your question, I'm on the side of sellers. Sell away, baby.
All right. Well, I like the idea of selling or staying put, but I definitely don't like the idea of buyer. Buyer, no, because I don't think no matter what they do, who are they going to get? The names that are floating out there for starting pitching, which is really what they need, Johnny Cueto. So they're going to have to give away
Johnny Cueto. They're going to have to give away their entire farm system for him.
Yeah, exactly. Or Cashmere. And Cashmere, if you want to get him, I mean, he's already having triceps problems. His last start, he had to leave after 3 innings. They say he's fine, but he's had injury problems in the past with his shoulder. So I don't want someone like that. That could be another Clay Buchholz sitting on the team. And you keep going down the line. You got Cole Hamels, another one where you got to just give everybody away. Mike Leake, who is pretty much like every other starter on the Red Sox right now, meaning night and like one day he's good, the next day he's bad. And beyond that, there's not really anybody that great out there to trade away for it. Hamels is over 30. I don't like pitchers over 30. Cueto's been hurt quite a few times, and you're going to have to ask for too much. I would, at this point, they're 6.5 games back. If the Red Sox want to be like, all right, fine, we're good, we can maybe make a run at this, then bring up the pitchers like you're doing, Brian Johnson and Eduardo Rodriguez, who has really pitched well since he's come up. 2 left-handers. Let the young guys come in there, see if they can help. Hopefully Porcello with Hannigan back is able to get into a groove finally, and then keep Buchholz if you're going to do that and go that way. If not, I say start trading, and where I would start, I mean, Buchholz is good. Buchholz is a good point. I like what you say about that half a season, and that's really the issue. I thought that he could pitch still, but I didn't think that he could stay healthy, and he's once again proving that. And I think health is you're useless if you can't play. So
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Trade him. But what I would take advantage of right now is I would trade, which this will never happen, Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval.
Oh, well,
I would trade them away.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think Ben Cherington would sign away on that in 0.2 seconds. Seriously.
You think so?
Oh, I definitely think so. I really do. Well, especially Panda, and Hanley Ramirez is one of the worst left fielders ever. I mean ever. I'm not talking about just this year in baseball. He's atrocious. He's a lost cause out there. He's not putting the extra work from the rumor mill, and he's never going to get better if he's not putting in the extra work. And Sandoval, he's had an up and down, more down season at third base defensively. I definitely think that they would get rid of those guys. Maybe I'm just being crazy because that's how I am. You know how I am when it comes to baseball. I'm like Trader Matty when it comes to baseball. Trader Mattious when it comes to baseball, but I'm not patient at all. But these signs are just disastrous. I thought that these guys might put up some okay numbers, and that's why I feel like with the other guys in the roster, I think that the average numbers that they put up would get them into the playoffs, but these contracts have just been disastrous. And I mean, Hanley Ramirez, he'll go on the DL sooner or later. He's got like a chip nail or some random BS problem every single week. Something always happens to this guy. He's literally made out of glass, just like Clay Buchholz.
Well, yeah, and even Sunday when he slid into home plate, he tweaked his ankle a little. So I think he's fine, but nothing was really said.
Well, there's always something with that guy. I mean, the only thing that I could think of is you have to just release Mike Napoli. Okay, he's in the last year of his contract. He's doing absolutely nothing. Make guys comfortable. And what I mean by that is take Hanley out of left field. You got to get him out of there. It's been 90 games. He's been a disaster. Move him in. Put him at third. Move Sandoval to first. Voila. There we go. Problem solved. Napoli, I loved you. You were crazy running around Boston with your shirt off, drinking beers after the World Series. I love you. But still, it just comes at a time when if you're not performing, it is what it is. And
you got to go.
You got to go. Yeah, exactly.
You got to go. And I agree with you here, especially with a team where pitching has been a problem. You need some good defense to help them out, and Hanley hasn't been able to do anything close to that in left field. And so, and not to mention the last game on Sunday. Now everyone's freaking out. David Ortiz is supposedly sick with an upper respiratory infection or whatever, and other people are saying, conspiracy theorists are saying that he wouldn't play. It was because he was out because he didn't want to play first base, and Hanley was going to be the DH. Which obviously, I think Poppy could probably do a better job at first base than Hanley could do in left field. But
that's obvious, yeah.
Yeah, but supposedly now the conspiracy theorists are saying, oh no, Poppy didn't want to play first base or whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but Hanley, if he can come in, he's a big guy. His hitting is fantastic. Let me drop back for a second here. When he is on the field, when you watch him at the plate, he is a very good hitter. And he's got a good eye. I know his on-base percentage doesn't really show it right now, but I've seen some questionable calls. And I think as a hitter, a straight-up hitter, Hanley is great.
Exactly.
But
I agree.
But beyond that, I can't. I think he hurts your team in too many ways, whether it's clubhouse, whether it's defense, or whether it's just being on the field on a consistent basis, knowing you're going to have him in there night in, night out. And so that's why I think you try to trade him to a team like the Mets, who can't score. They got Lucas Dudas in there all by himself. Michael Kadire came back, I believe, but they don't have much in the terms of anything for hitting. I know Kirk Neuenhuis hit 3 home runs Sunday, but I mean that might be the only 3 home runs he has this season. So maybe you could find a deal with them. I don't know if they got some more pitching and just keep trying to get pitchers, and throw them in the system. Or go maybe the Angels that are sitting there right now. They got Trout, they got Pujols, but beyond that, they're really offensively, they don't have too much. So I've heard they're looking for a bat. Maybe they'll want Hanley. In theory, Hanley can play all these positions. He's like Brock Holt, except he's a horrible version of Brock Holt when it comes to defense because he can't really pull his weight when he gets out there. But he can play all these positions when he does play. Second, shortstop, third, left field, I guess. You could try to throw him anywhere in the outfield, probably. You could play him at first base. I'm sure you could figure it out as well as left field. So, Hanley Ramirez, I would trade him. I would trade Pablo. Has like a 307 on base percentage. And when you really look at Pablo Sandoval's stats over the years, first off, not to mention the fact that he doesn't stay on the field most of the time, but his stats aren't really that unbelievable. So I don't see if someone believes they are, or someone believes he's got this October magic in him, then that's great because maybe someone will want to trade him away. And once again, I say trade for pitching, trade for young pitching, and try to keep bringing these guys along because you're gonna hit, you're gonna miss on some, but at this point, that's what the Red Sox need. And right now, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's figured out his walk problem. He's looking pretty solid since he's been up in the majors. Brian Johnson, I looked more into his stats. Another first-round pick, 2 lefties. They got lefties all over the place. I mean, he's supposed to start. He came up. He was in the bullpen Sunday. He's supposed to start when the All-Star break is over. I like what they're doing with the pitching, and I'll like it more if they can somehow trade one of those bats. Yohan Moncada can be up in a year or two. I know Rusney Castillo has not really done much or done well when he's played, but eventually, hopefully, he could do something. I know it's a little alarming. He's 28, and he's not hitting that well. But there's things that can be done, and I believe that the Red Sox should trade away those big bats so they can get young pitching that hopefully can develop at some point. Yeah, because that's what you need.
That'd be great, Droz. I mean, looking at the salaries, those for this season and going forward, those are the 2 highest priced guys we have on our team. I mean, if you look at the salary list for the Red Sox, it's easy to tell and easy to figure out why this team sucks. I'm going to read the first 10 guys: Ramirez, Sandoval, Napoli, Ortiz, Victorino, Porcello, Buchholz, Masterson, Uehara, and Alejandro De Haza. Okay, our best players are the guys that are getting paid nothing. Bogarts, $500,000. Brock Holt, our only all-star. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have the 4th highest salary out of all the teams in baseball, and our own representative is making $500,000, a little bit more than $500,000 a year. And then you got Mookie Betts, who I think has been the best offensive player on our team, and maybe Ramirez, but I do like Mookie. Maybe that's why I'm just saying this. But Betts, and he's heated up. I mean, he started off slow, but Mookie's heating up. Another guy making about $500,000. So our best guys are the younger guys making no money, and the guys that are sucking are guys that are making a slew of money. I mean, the only good thing is you got Napoli coming off the books, you got Victorino coming off the books, but you got guys like Porcello who's a $20 million pitcher, and he literally has the worst stats out of any starter in Major League Baseball. I mean, you cannot get any worse than this guy. I didn't mind the sign-in, but he's been absolutely horrendous. So I'm not going to give up on the guy, but if I was the Red Sox, I'd shut him down and let him think a little bit. Something. I would not just keep throwing him out there, because you keep throwing him out there, it's like throwing him out there and giving your team a loss, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I would agree. If you could somehow get rid of Ramirez, somehow get rid of Sandoval, I'm not going to be complaining, because Hanley Ramirez sooner or later will have a big injury in the next 3 years, less than a half years that he has left. And Sandoval's very average. I never liked that sign-in. He's just an average player. I don't know if it's because he sells the panda hats and he has the cool nickname and he's fat and he's great in the postseason, which obviously you want in a team, but there's nothing really flashy about him. And for them to just throw a lot of money at them was just that's just awful management. It really is. So
it was, like I said, I thought Ben Cherington, it could lead to his
man.
firing.
He's horrible, and they're gonna come in last place possibly, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Another last place finish is not gonna be happy to the upper echelon of there at Yawkey Way, especially with a team that you got a massive salary. When you're a GM of the Red Sox, it's not like being a GM of a team like the NBA or the NHL, especially NHL, where you have a strict salary cap. Even both of the NBA and NHL, they're both growing salary-wise, but, I mean, you're on the same level as every other team. Baseball, no. If you're a Yankee, Dodger, or Red Sox GM, I mean, you got the checkbook. So, yeah, I personally feel like if I'm in that sport and I'm judging you a little bit more strict than, say, a team like the Arizona Diamondbacks or Miami Marlins, who usually have the team salaries like in the lower half, if not last place. So, well, yeah, I'm gonna judge you.
And he should be judged. Cherington should be judged. But at this point, let's see if he's got the ego, if he can step aside from his ego enough to actually get rid of a Hanley Ramirez, who he just signed, and a Pablo Sandoval, who he just signed.
He created this mess, and now it's going to be up to him to get him out of this mess. And I feel like a lot of it, when you look at what happens, who's to blame? You play the who's to blame game. I mean, I feel like the manager is in like last place when it comes to this, because the manager just gets what he gets. I mean, he might have, who knows how much leeway or saying John Farrell has into the players that the Red Sox get. And I bet you it's like not a lot. He can only put the guys out there, and that's it. It is what it is. I mean, decision-wise, making pitching changes or putting players in, that's not really a lot. The players are the most important people to point the blame at in my book. They always will be. Okay, they're the guys that get signed. They have to perform. If they don't perform, they're the main reasons. And then after that, I put the GM up there because the GM is the one who put these guys on the team, and he had the final say. Supposedly, it could be the president, Lucchino. We don't know, but he's the one who decides these things. And then the manager, I would put in last place. So Farrell has what he has, and I mean, a last place finish, a World Series, last place finish, and maybe another last place finish this year, they might both get cut. Who the heck knows? But if I was the Red Sox right now, I would either sell, and if you can somehow sell and get a decent deal, bring someone back. If you can't, then just stay pat. Bring up the young arms. I mean, Henry Owens, the best prospect, or the number one prospect we have on our team, isn't really having the best of years, especially when it comes to his control. So keep him down in AAA. There's no reason to rush him up. Bring up Johnson. Obviously, he's had a great year down in AAA. He deserves to at least have a chance. Buchholz has a flexor strain in his arm. He had a crick in his neck last year, so don't think he's only going to be out for like 10 days. He'll probably be out for like 10 years. And Johnson will have a chance to at least prove himself. I mean, because Masterson and Porcello, they have both been disastrous this year. I mean, at least Miley and Eduardo Rodriguez is a bona fide upcoming star, I feel like. And then you got Buchholz, who the heck knows? Like I said, he'll probably be out forever. So bring him up, reward him, and I don't know. It's going to be way too much for this team to come back. And I hear on the radio that Farrell, I mean, what are you going to say as a manager? Oh, we're down and we're going to suck. He's speaking like, oh, the clubhouse is getting better. We see what we're behind. It's a big game. I'm speaking about last night on Sunday when they faced the Yankees. It was because if they won, it gets to 4.5. 4.5 is better than 6.5. But in the grand scheme of things, they're going to have to play really good baseball down the stretch in order for them to even have a chance to get into the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either. It's going to include great. They're going to have to pitch a lot better, and maybe these youngsters will come up. Brian Johnson's coming up or is up in the bullpen. He's going to start supposedly, I think, Saturday. But Eduardo Rodriguez, he's looked great. Both lefties. I think they got left-handers all over the place. Henry Owens is a lefty too, so that's 3 lefties right there, 3 young lefties.
I mean, they got Wade Miley, who, believe it or not, Wade Miley, even though one of the worst decisions I feel like this year has been John Farrell being a wimp when Wade Miley was like screaming at him in the dugout, because that's just ridiculous. I mean, when you are the person in charge, sometimes you got to take a response that is passive. I mean, for me as a teacher, I got students that sometimes yell and swear away, and you can't fire back because it's just like adding fuel to the fire. But we're talking about a major league professional. And if a major league professional is like that, you're supposed to be like John Farrell, this big guy that everyone's afraid of. And for him to like back down like a little puppy doll, I don't know. I thought that was ridiculous. Prior to like the last start against the Yankees, Wade Miley had an ERA of 4.5, and he was 8-7. So that's exactly what I figured Wade Miley would be like. So I can't point any blame on him at all.
No, he's fine. Whatever. He works quick. It's good for the defense. Or
and the viewer,
people that can play defense. What is it?
And the viewer.
And the viewer, exactly. So that's good. It's good for when you watch a Wade Miley game, as long as he doesn't let up too many gopher balls or anything. But he's nothing special. He's nothing horrible. He's your fourth starter, or whatever. But that's fine. Yeah, Wade Miley would be fine on this team if Buchholz was healthy, and then we could have Brian Johnson and Eduardo Rodriguez sitting up here, and then Porcello just put it through, and it would be fine, because you don't even need to depend on Masterson or Joe Kelly, which Masterson obviously has been a disaster, and Joe Kelly, I don't even know what his deal is right now, but
Cy Young Joe.
Yeah, that guy, I don't know where he got. Well, it's good that he felt that confident to say that, but for gosh sakes, you don't want to say that when you come to a place like Boston, because they're gonna eat you alive once you say that. They're gonna eat you alive once you don't perform. If you don't perform, if you perform, then hey, whatever. You're still not gonna get much anyways. So I think that was just dumb on his part, especially considering what his stats had proven before that. He might be able to throw the ball hard, but that's about it. So the Red Sox, yeah, you're 6.5 games behind the Yankees, but they're in last place. Everybody else is in front of them. And while the other teams, none of them are that great. I mean, the Yankees, they still have pitching problems. Although that Robert Refsnyder kid who came up on Sunday hit a home run, got his first hit. It was an opposite field, like line drive single. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be good second baseman for them. And I'd be afraid of Robert Refsnyder as a hitter. I don't know defensively how well he's supposed to be, but his stats are pretty solid, and they've been solid his entire time in the organization. He didn't get talked about as much. I don't know why, considering he's a Yankees prospect. But they got him. Teixeira, is hitting like 200, but leads the league in RBIs, and maybe even I don't know how many home runs he has, but he's got quite a few over in the 20s. A-Rod obviously is having a renaissance season. And Gardner has been great. Brett Gardner and Ellsbury have been great. So their lineup is actually producing, whereas the Red Sox isn't really producing, at least not consistently. And their pitching, while CC Sabathia is not the CC Sabathia we've all known for so many years, they still have a couple guys. Tanaka, hopefully, he might get hurt again. You don't know. They got questions there. The Orioles, their pitching staff is still what it's always been. It's not that great. The Blue Jays pitching's not very great either, but they got bats. And then Tampa just does what Tampa does. They pitch and they try to get like 2 or 3 runs, 4 runs a game and try to win. And it seems to work. So even with Kevin Cash there instead of Joe Madden. And I don't think any of those teams, even with all that, I just think that the worst part about the Red Sox is the actual clubhouse itself. You brought in Pablo, who was supposed to be a bad presence in the Giants clubhouse, didn't want to lose weight. He's kind of arrogant, like I think you alluded to before. And then you got Hanley, who he does things his way, and that's just it. I mean, he doesn't seem like the worst of guys, but he's just going to do things his way. And if he doesn't feel like he is feeling good for that day, he's not going to play. And, I mean, you should read I forget who wrote the article on the Dodgers when he was playing for the Dodgers. Maybe it was Jeff. I don't want to put out a name yet. But whoever wrote the article was explaining Hanley Ramirez's last season in L.A. And basically, he wouldn't show up to the field if he didn't want to. If he didn't want to, like it was a pain in the ass, and that's why the signing was just so dumb in the first place. Hanley can hit. I think even this year he's been pretty good. He hasn't been that, he's gotten hurt, but he's gotten back on the field. But I think when the future comes, year 2, year 3 of this contract, he's going to start reverting to the Hanley of the last year in LA or the last couple years in Florida, where he just does what he wants.
Yeah,
obviously.
I really cannot throw any blame on Hanley Ramirez because the guy he's been in there, and I know it's like every time you watch her, every other week there's something going on with him, but he's actually stayed in there. He's played 77 games. That's a lot of games. He's been productive at the plate, atrocious in the field, but I don't even know if that's his fault because he probably doesn't want to play left field. But even if you don't want to play left field, be a professional and put the extra work in, and he's not doing it. And then you got Ortiz saying, I don't want to play first base. He did go out there and play 2 out of 3 games, so, I mean, you could say I don't want to go play, but at least he did it. The last night you have that conspiracy, like you said, injury. What upper respiratory? What the hell is that? What's an upper respiratory illness? That sounds like a cold to me. So, whatever. He sat out last night. That I thought was ridiculous.
Well, that would be bad if him and Hanley started fighting because they're supposed to be on both on like I think Ortiz should be keeping Hanley together, and if that became a problem, that would be a huge issue in Boston.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue. They seem to be getting along fine, in my opinion. But you got a lot of different personalities, and who knows what's going on inside that clubhouse. We'll never know. There's a lot of high maintenance guys in there, so who the heck knows?
And then you got Pedroia, who'll probably want to like rip all their heads off.
Yeah, but he's a quiet leader. Even being a little diminutive guy like he is, but he doesn't seem to be that aggressive type of leader. He's that type of leader that leads by example, not rah, I'm going to get in your face if you do something.
No, but he can get mad at times. I mean, Pedroia is Pedroia, and Pedroia is fantastic. And he's one of those guys that he's going to get hurt sometimes, but I think he's still good to have on the team. Maybe he's getting paid too much, but at the same time, I think he's good for the clubhouse. I think he leads by example, and he's a good example. And I think he's a good fit for Boston. So I love Pedroia on the team, despite playing with his thumb torn 2 seasons in a row, whatever, the full seasons. It's amazing. So this guy, the bumps, the bruises, whatever he gets, he tries to get out there. Yeah, maybe it affects his stats, but at the same time, he's the type of guy you want. He's the type of character you want on your team. So I don't mind paying for a guy that might get injured or not. His stats might be down a little because he's playing injured if he's going to bring a good presence to the clubhouse. But if you're going to be a baby in the background and get paid a lot, then that's a whole different story. Then you got to go. And I don't know if that's fair to say all that right now about the new guys, but like I said, I think that could be coming. So I would just trade him before anything starts going south. But one area where things are going north in Boston is over at the northeastern side of the city. The Boston Celtics at the TD Garden. Danny Ainge making all his moves right now. Had the NBA draft now it's probably been, like 3 weeks ago maybe. And they sign forward Amir Johnson from the Raptors. They trade for David Lee and get rid of Gerald Wallace's contract. Gerald Wallace, the player who maybe some of you might not even realize was still on the team because he probably played in like 6 games last season, but his contract was so high that they just had to keep him there. And they traded him for David Lee. David Lee's contract, I believe, was $5 million more for a season, but his expires at the end of the year. Lee can't play defense, but Lee can score. He didn't play as many minutes last year. He had a kind of a down year, but that was because he was averaging 18 minutes a game because Golden State went a different way with the way they were going to play. He didn't pout one bit. Everybody, I'm sure you've heard about that. How loved he is in Golden State. How Stephen Curry, when Lee got traded, said all this really nice stuff about David Lee, his boy, his brother, whatever. But Lee, 2 seasons ago, averaged over 18 points and 9 rebounds a game. So this is a scorer. He can rebound. He's a big body, big 6'9", 249, and he offensively he's great. Defensively he's horrible, but he's been an all-star twice. He'll be on the team. You can help him score because that's what the Celtics need really is a scorer from somewhere, I think. And so I thought that was a good move. Start there with the Celtics.
Yeah, like we've talked about yesterday off the air, we seem to be in agreement on a lot of the things, which makes for the listeners pretty boring, but I read a pretty interesting article this morning. Steve Bulpett in the Boston Herald. Yeah, Herald. I don't read the Globe. In the Boston Herald, and he started off the article by saying how Danny Ainge freely admits the Celtics roster is an extremely fluid entity. It's why he's held off on completing the trade for David Lee and the free agent signing of Jay Crowder. So both of those were announced, but he hasn't followed through. As of yesterday, the Celtics had no other moves in the pipeline, but it seems the club could be going through another season with a changed constant. I have no idea, Ainge said when he asked if he expects the roster to be significantly different at the start of the year than it is now. We're still trying to do things. That's what helped. That will help our team get better, but I like the group of guys we have right now. It goes on and on, as Bulpett mentions, how the height of spectrum of the logjams at either end of the spectrum with the guards and the forwards, and whether it's going to create a problem in the rotation. And Ainge admitted by saying, "I do, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sacrifice talent for better balance on our roster. I have to move my shortstop to second base, maybe." And that's exactly what it seems like Danny Ainge is doing. He's just grabbing all this talent. He doesn't really care whether or not he has 8 million guards or a lot of forwards. And that's what I feel like is on the team right now. This team is built for the 2015-2016 season with a lot of – it's just a complete logjam. The roster is way too full. A lot of these guys are very comparable when it comes to their abilities, and – they're going to have to make some moves. I mean, only 12 guys make the roster, and as of right now, there's like 20-something guys in the roster because, I mean, it's summer league, but you also had 4 draft picks, and there's no way in hell all those guys are going to make the roster. They'll be on the D-League team. I don't think Jordan Mickey or the other guy in round 2, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Marcus Thornton.
He's not. There's no way either of those guys are going to make the roster. And then, I mean, Rozier, Hunter might not even make the roster. You would think Rozier would.
I would agree with that.
I feel like Rozier, I did not like that pick in the draft. That was a pick where when they said it, and I stayed up exactly until they took the pick, and I was like, what the hell is that? He is a mini version of Marcus Smart. He's not as tall. He's not as big weight-wise, but he's a guard. He's a point guard. As a position, they put him as a point guard, but is he really a point guard just like Smart? He seems like more of a Carmel guy, but he's not even a good shooter. Neither of them are good shooters. And now you have like a mini Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's mini. And like what are you doing there, Ainge? I really did not understand that. I have no idea why he made that pick. It's the same exact player. And with a roster with Avery Bradley, who you just signed, and you said you loved Isaiah Thomas, it's like, yeah, here's this logjam again. You know, it's like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't when it comes to that. I feel like he's just getting all these aspects, and he's getting these aspects in order to maybe make some trades because we know that's what he loves to do. But I don't know, Droz. I don't know if you have a better opinion when it comes to that, but it's a complete logjam. Guys are going to have to get released or traded, one or the other.
I'm going to say this about Terry Rozier. When watching Louisville, he was the best player on Louisville last season. Better than Montrezl Harrell. I thought Harrell did not show up for many games. And he got in trouble too at one point.
Yeah,
but
Terry Rozier bust his butt. He has a great work ethic.
Yes. So I'm actually not saying let's start off with, I agree with you, it was the wrong pick, but I'm not saying Terry Rozier is a bad player. Because I actually thought that, like I said, I thought he was the best player on Louisville. He's got fast hands. He's got a good work ethic, like you just alluded to. He is, balls to the wall, always running after balls, diving, doing all that kind of stuff. Good with his hands, fast, can play the Louisville full court press, up tempo style of basketball. Cannot shoot, but he can get to the rim, do all that kind of stuff. He, to me, is useless though for the Celtics because Marcus Smart is there, and Marcus Smart is a bigger and I would say better version of Terry Rozier. So,
yeah, I agree. He's bigger, like I said, bigger height-wise and weight-wise, and he is better than him.
Yeah. So I really and I know they've played one game in the what's it called there? The summer league or whatnot? Not the summer league.
They've played like 4 games by now, but.
Well, there's 2 different leagues though. There was the summer league, and then there's the one that they played a couple nights ago or whatnot. Where Smart's been playing well this summer, anyways, in the league in all those games. And Smart, he's been one of the better players, scoring too. So
yeah, there's the Las Vegas and the Orlando League. The Celtics were in the Orlando League, but 4 or 5 games so far, and Smart's been the best one out there. It would make sense. I mean, it's his second year. I understand. It's probably good that he's playing, but he probably will start this upcoming year, and it's not really common to find a guy who's going to be starting to be playing on a summer league roster. But he's only in his second year, and I have no issues with it whatsoever. But the only issue I might have is give a guy that you might think might be making the roster a little bit more time on the floor than him. But it is what it is. He needs his work just like everybody else. So
yeah, he needs work. And at the same time, and Marcus Smart, we all have to remember this. Going into his sophomore season, he was supposed to come out after his freshman, or at least most prognosticators thought after his freshman season at Oklahoma State, he was going to leave. And at that point, still be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. He was then, when he stayed, he was thought of by some, maybe even possibly being the top 2 pick in the draft last season, before he had all those transgressions and problems on the court and off the court, kind of, at Oklahoma State during that season, a la when the fan, which was the fan's fault, and the chair thing. But Marcus Smart was supposed to be a top 3 pick at that point going into that season, or at least prognosticated to be that kind of pick. So he really is. He could be one of those players like a Paul Pierce that fell. And I don't think Paul Pierce fell for the same reasons, or he definitely didn't fall for the same reasons. But at the same time, I mean, maybe Marcus Smart can come on and do that. He gets his stuff together. I don't even know how much of it he had to get together. I think you don't have hissy fits on the side of the floor. But besides that, I mean, he works hard, as we've said to about 50 times on this show. His defense is ridiculous, especially for a rookie last season. So Marcus Smart's great. When you go back to the logjam part of your conversation, obviously they did do a lot of that. The only guy they got that supposedly is different than anybody on this team was R.J. Hunter. But the thing I don't get about R.J. Hunter is they say he's a 3-point shooter, but he shot something like 32% from 3-point land last year in college. So I don't quite understand. If he's open, he gets hot. I know he hit that big shot where Georgia State upset whoever they upset in the tournament this past March Madness with his dad on the sideline, and his dad tore his ACL after that. But Hunter is not Mr. 3-point shooter. He's a decent scorer. I don't know how he'll score in the NBA. And from what I hear, the pick was made off his ability to shoot the 3, and I don't think he's really a great 3-point shooter. Maybe he can develop into one. But so and those are college threes, so you got to remember those are shorter 3-pointers. So I'm not sold on that either. I don't really like the picks. I actually like Jordan Mickey. I think he's a shot blocker out of LSU. They had 2 guys. I forget the other one that was over there down at LSU, but they're pretty talented. I think Mickey can play. I don't know if they'll put him up here right now just because of the logjam, but I think eventually he will be a very useful part of this team. And I do like if Jay Crowder. Yeah, I did see none of these signings have been officially announced, although it seems like they're good. It sounds like Pressey's going to be gone. Phil Pressey to the Golden State Warriors in the David Lee trade, and it sounds like there should be no reason these things won't happen, though obviously we just all saw DeAndre Jordan, but that's kind of a different situation too.
And I have no issue with Pressey going. I agree with a lot of the comments you made. Once again, I mean, Hunter and Rozier, when all the mock drafts came out, believe it or not, they were supposed to be flipped. Everyone had Hunter going in the high teens, middle teens, and Rozier going towards the end. So that's why people Celtics draft wasn't that bad. They got guys where pretty much where they fell, but I don't know. Mickey, there's no way he's going to crack this roster. You got Tyler Zeller, you have Kelly Olynyk, Sullinger, now you got Amir Johnson. There's no way Mickey's going to be on this roster.
Maybe not this year.
The only guy that go to the D League, play there.
He just has to put on some weight.
Yeah. He does, and the guy who needs to lose some weight is our boy Jared Sullinger, and I personally feel like this guy needs to go. He's young, but I don't think he has the work ethic that the Celtics want to see in the front office. He's saying now in the offseason, oh, well, I know I got to work hard now and blah, blah, blah. But, dude, like, your first season you played 45 games. The second season, 74, and then last season, 58. The last time I checked, it's an 82-game season. So if you add that all together, that's like in the low 60s, high 50s. That is not a durable player, okay? When the guy's on the court, he can actually play. I'll give it to him. I mean, Sullinger isn't a bad guy, but I feel like his attitude is not a guy that you want in that locker room, especially with all these young guys around. I feel like he could be a guy not only with an attitude, but a poor work ethic that could rub off on the other guys. So if I had to get rid of anybody for that logjam, I would say goodbye to you. When it comes to the guards, I don't know. That's really gonna be a tough situation. I mean, you got so many guys there between Isaiah Thomas and Marcus Smart and Avery Bradley, and now you picked up Rozier, who's possibly going to be in there, and then you got Evan Turner too. So Rozier is going to be behind all four of those guys. And is James Young going to do anything? Who the heck knows?
Yeah.
You got Jerebko in there, Jay Crowder, who could play a guard but more as like a small forward. There's just a lot of guys there. So the comments that I read were not surprising in that article this morning by Ainge, because you never know what's going to happen. There's just way too many guys. Just like we said last year, going to the playoffs, they have all these guys that are like bench players or fringe starters, and they just picked up a bunch of the same thing in the offseason. They got more fringe type of starters and bench players, and now they're
six men.
Yeah. Now they're going to have to once again decide out of all these guys who we're going to go with and who we're not going to go with. And it's going to be interesting to see. Ainge obviously controls this, but the good thing about all this is Danny Ainge has set him up great for the future. I mean, he's got all those draft picks coming up, not only our draft picks, but I mean the Nets. You've got a couple with Dallas that are protected.
Who messed themselves up by signing Bargnani. That's going to get even worse for them. I think Brooklyn's going downhill.
Oh, yeah, they're going downhill. And I mean, Deron Williams, who wasn't even that good last year, but still, he's better than a lot of guys in the NBA still, even though he's not a superstar whatsoever. He left. So those picks, I think, are going to turn into gold. But it seems like Danny Ainge is setting himself up salary cap-wise, because the salary cap's going to go up in 2016 in order to go out there and get one of the big names that's out there. And 2016 has a lot of unrestricted guys that are out there. And just to throw a couple of names out there, and I know some of the names I might mention, you're going to be like, there's no chance, but just to name them, you got Kobe Bryant, Joe Johnson, Durant, Wade, Hibbard, Eric Gordon, David Lee will be a free agent. The main reason why the Celtics signed him, because it matched up with Wallace. And you got like Joakim Noah, Jefferson, Batum, Nene, Gallinari, who I actually heard a rumor today that the Celtics are maybe looking to trade for Danilo Gallinari.
Really? I would not be opposed to that.
Yep.
I like Gallinari. I think he can score. He's a scorer. They need a scorer, a pure scorer.
Yep.
That can shoot. Maybe more. Let's change what I just said. They need a shooter.
Yeah, like then you got guys like Jamal Crawford. He's really old. You got a guy like Mike Conley who's going to be a free agent.
They don't need him though.
Exactly. So there's certain things out there need wise. There's certain things out there that there's no way whatsoever. But out of those names that are out there, they're going to have the money to offer. So I feel like Ainge went out there and he saw last year, okay, we made the playoffs, but we don't have any veterans whatsoever. We got to get some veterans on this roster, not like Gerald Wallace, who are going to sit there and pom away on the sideline. We need guys who can actually play. So he goes out there and gets a defensive guy like Amir Johnson. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, what the hell? But only for 2 years. He's getting a decent amount of money up front, but it's only a 2-year deal. That's nothing. And then David Lee next year. So it's possible the Celtics have another decent season. These guys that are young get better again. They squeak into the playoffs, or maybe even move up to like a 7 seed. Maybe it's more attractive for free agents. They see a guy possibly like Smart blows up, becomes really good. You get a couple of free agents in here, and you could have a team that starts to get a little bit higher up in the playoff stand. And so the future does look bright for this team, especially with the salary position as well as the draft picks for the foreseeable future for this team.
And I'm looking at a couple things, the 2016 free agent list, unrestricted, and then first off, who do you find in the next summer's free agency? Who do you think would be the best get for the Celtics?
There's no question about it. It's Kevin Durant.
Well, okay, that's reasonable. that there's a chance of them getting.
Now, Droz, I can't dream. No, it's Boston. We never get any free agents, and like I was saying before, we did discuss off the air not only the Red Sox but the Celtics, and no, we don't get free agents. It's just not a city that people want to play in. I mean, our winters suck. Nobody wants to come in here and be miserable in the winter, and we got like snow that's still melting in the Seaport district in Boston. It's like, it's ridiculous. So I don't blame the free agents not to come here. But if you're somebody who wants to win, you might end up coming here, like a la Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen did. But no, that's not realistic. A lot of the names that I read off the list aren't realistic, but I doubt Eric Gordon would want to leave New Orleans because Anthony Davis is a beast. I mean, Joakim Noah is 30. I'm not really looking at him as a guy. I would love to get Al Horford. I mean, he's going to be 30, but even he had a couple of injuries here and there. So you look at the list, and you know what? There's a lot of guys that maybe don't really fit.
Well, what you just named the guy that I think that I would go for, number one, would be Al Horford. I know he's been hurt a couple times. He's 30. He'll be 30 next summer. I think he can score and he can play inside. He's bigger than anyone that we have. I mean, you got a Linux, Zeller, but I would obviously Horford is a huge upgrade over Zeller, as well as Zeller played last season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys down on the list that you look at that are restricted, which means that you can put an offer if the other team doesn't take it. You can get them, like a guy like Bradley Beal. Yeah, I take Bradley Beal. I don't care if we have all of these guys at guard, because you know what? You get Bradley Beal, he's now your best guard on the team. That guy can shoot, he can ball, he can play. But I mean, there's a guy like, are they going to be able to sign like a guy like him? Probably not.
Well, see, this is what that you just nailed it. You nailed the two players in a row, Mattious, and we did not talk about this, but Horford, you sign Horford. And then they're going to want Durant. They're going to have Durant and Wall. I don't know how their contracts are going to line up over there in Washington.
You mean
but
Beal,
I don't know
and Wall, not Durant.
No, in Washington. I think they're going to get Durant.
Oh, really?
And so assuming that Washington gets Durant, because that's where he's from and that's all I've been hearing for 2 years now, I assume he's going to go there. And when he signs with Washington, if I guess it's all, what ifs, but at this point, I'm going to say they get him, and that means they got Wall, they have him, and Beal, what happens then? They're going to want something for Beal, because down the road, they're not going to be able to have all three of those players. So you sign and trade Bradley Beal, and that's where the Celtics come in with Horford. And then you get Horford, Beal, and then you make some kind of, Danny Ainge can package something together because he's a restricted free agent, and then you get Beal. And I think that's the best case scenario for the Celtics.
I agree,
right there.
yeah. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we did not talk about this yesterday. I mean, that is the best case. Yeah, would we like to get Eric Gordon or Kevin Durant? Yeah. But we're going to be realistic here, and we know that, no, we're not a team that's ready to win a championship. I mean, Durant's he's don't be surprised, though, if New York pops in Durant's head, because he's his agent is Rock Nation Sports, and I mean, you got your boy Melo there. Durant plays in Oklahoma City, which has blown up, but that's nowhere close to New York. If New York can somehow do anything this year, and then you got Carmelo, they're gonna have money. You never know. You never know, especially with Rock Nation, man. That's Jay-Z. He would probably rather have him go to Brooklyn, but Brooklyn's gonna be atrocious. There's no way he's gonna go there. So, if anything, I would say, yeah, it would start with Washington, D.C., because you're correct. He is from there. But getting that Eastern Conference, if he has a brain, go in the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference is crazy. You go in the East, you could at least go to the East, team up, and face LeBron every year, and then get to the finals, because in the West is just strong. You got LaMarcus Aldridge going to San Antonio. It's like they're reloading for when Tim Duncan leaves. But Duncan's coming back for a year. He can come back next year. You never know. And then you got Golden State, so it would be smart for Durant to get out of there, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll go back to why I think Washington comes first, because Rock Nation, Jay-Z are cool, but Kevin Durant, and it happened in his MVP speech 2 seasons ago. I mean, his mom comes first, his family comes first. She's in DC, he goes to DC. I don't see him going anywhere else.
DC's not far from Boston, is it?
It's not too far. I mean, probably like 8-hour drive or something.
All right, Kevin. I hope you listen to us. We would love to have you in Boston.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, if you want to come to Boston, for gosh sakes, that would blow my mind about 80 different ways. But I honestly, if that happens, Mattious, then Danny Ainge, then I will believe he's not human.
No,
he's done something else.
No chance in hell. I give it a 0.0000001% chance. There's no chance in hell Kevin Durant's going to be coming to Boston at this stage of his career. No way.
No way. And there's no chance that the Celtics win the championship next year. But there's a chance that they could make the playoffs again and be pretty good, too. All right, so that wraps it up for this edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Once again, everybody, check us out on Facebook, like our page, write us comments there, or at BOS Sports Brew on Twitter, at BOS Sports Brew on Twitter. For Mattious, I'm Droz. This has been another edition of the Boston Sports Brew.